Right now, the American political system is stalling out. It functions as an inescapable trap that the majority of the country now despises. These figures reveal a deep disconnect in our politics. Congress has a 15% approval rating. In any other industry, a one-star rating would close the doors. Yet 95% of these incumbents win re-election. This survival rate is engineered. Through gerrymandering, leaders draw their own district lines to ensure safety. This lack of competition has turned the two parties into a cartel. To see how tight this grip is, look at the raw numbers. Out of 435 congressional districts, they have insulated themselves so thoroughly that only about 35 remain competitive, purple districts. Voters used to pick politicians. Now, the mechanics of redistricting allow politicians to pick their voters. Anthony Scaramucci understands the mechanics of the system from the very inside. He rose from a blue-collar Long Island neighborhood to Harvard Law and Goldman Sachs, eventually entering the inner circle of the 2016 Trump campaign. He was named White House Communications Director in July 2017 and was fired 11 days later. In that brief window, his marriage faltered, he missed the birth of his son for a political rally, and his reputation was torched by the national press. This ejection from the center of power stripped away the usual political armor. It forced Scaramucci to examine the chaos in Washington as a predictable symptom of a deeper systemic decay. To understand why Washington's machinery is breaking down, we have to look past the daily headlines. We have to check the time on America's historical clock. Scaramucci represents a specific institutional blind spot. As he climbed into the circles of Wall Street and the World Economic Forum, he adopted the collective biases of the wealthy. He admits he forgot the world he grew up in. While elites focused on global markets, working-class families in industrial towns watched their factories close. Their reality shifted from economically aspirational to economically desperate. The institutional leaders missed the growing anger in these blighted communities. Donald Trump occupied this space as a systemic disruptor. It took a billionaire in a Fifth Avenue triplex, an apartment Scaramucci described as looking like Louis XIV decorated it on crystal meth, to have the instinct to see the blue-collar pain that the professional political class completely ignored. When leaders lose touch with the people they govern, they leave a vacuum. A disruptor will always seize that abandoned narrative. A disruptor functions as a wrecking ball to the old machine. Their phase in power is inherently destructive, focusing on tearing down the existing structure rather than building a new one. Scaramucci saw this firsthand. Constitutional norms and delegation are replaced by an administration of one, where executive centralization overrides the traditional processes of the State Department and the Pentagon. The enforcement is absolute. Lawmakers who support the disruptor 99% of the time face primary challenges the moment they show 1% dissent. This process hollows out traditional party structures, replacing them with a personality cult. This subversion of the party marks the climax of institutional decay. This pattern suggests an 80-year clock. America loses its generational memory every 8 decades as the people who built the standing institutions die off. 80 years after the Revolutionary War, the original political compromises failed, and the country descended into the Civil War. 80 years after that, the global economic order collapsed. The result was the Great Depression and the Second World War. Today, we are exactly 80 years out from the post-war order established in 1945. We have arrived at the point where the current institutions no longer meet the needs of the population. Systemic stress is a recurring part of the American timeline. History shows that old institutions often fracture before a new generation feels the need to build something better. Historical precedent suggests this level of friction is the mechanism that breaks a long-standing national stagnation. When a leader flouts established norms, he triggers an instinctive reaction in the public. By witnessing the direct opposite of what they believe leadership should be, Americans are forced to define for themselves what their democracy actually requires. Evidence of this struggle is visible in the voting patterns. Americans are swinging power back and forth between parties as they try to expel a failing establishment. The public can smell the decay in the basement, and they are looking for a way to clear it out. Scaramucci predicts that this friction leads to renewal. The 80-year cycle suggests that breaking a corrupted machine clears the ground for a new generation to rebuild the institutions they previously took for granted.